Hi, hello, good morning. I am back from a week-long hiatus. Oh, I miss being here. Hi everyone. Oh dear, is there some bad mood in the chat already? Come on, it's the start of the stream. I'm back. Let's not bring the mood down, okay? Hello Alonov, hello Dharma is gaming. Welcome to the stream, welcome. So I'm sorry you're in a bad mood based off your first day of school. But you know, the thing about that is that tough times don't last forever, and bad times are just times that are bad. So just be grateful that it has passed and you can have a brand new start on your brand new day. How about that? Does that help a lot? That's the only advice I can say at the moment regarding a bad mood. So, with that being said, as you can see, I don't really have my Clip Studio thing open because this is just a chat with me. More like a catch-up stream, where I essentially just tell you about my trip, I guess. Well, I can't say in true detail, but because you know, like, it's not all as glamorous as you think it would be. And I would like to make a correction. There was some belief that I was on vacation. It was not a vacation. It was essentially a personal business trip in which I had to help out my father. So it wasn't really like a relaxing time. My trip was overall pretty relaxed, except for the day that I landed in the state. The moment we got in, we noticed that what? Mr. Bro was being a bully. I'll have to just check what's going on in the Discord. Pretty sure you guys have run amok while in my absence. So, upon entering my dad's home, we noticed that the air was a bit stagnant. Almost as if there was no electricity, and turns out there was no electricity in the house. We learned in the middle of that day, in the middle of cleaning, that the power was cut off in the middle of July, which means everything in the fridge completely turned into rotten vegetable sludge. Which, on site it doesn't look bad, but the smell was horrendous. So I spent the better part of 6 hours cleaning that. Trying to get the smell out, trying to get all the stains out, trying to clean up all the puddles. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Hi Kelvin, welcome to the stream. Ugh, it was just horrendous. I think that was just the worst part of the trip. Just cleaning out the fridge of all the spoiled foods. But afterwards, it's been smooth sailing. Mostly cleaning the house. Yard work, which was the second worst part of it, mostly because of all the mosquito bites that I got. The mosquito bites got so bad that I had to borrow one of my dad's shirts just so they stopped biting me. Surprisingly, the mosquito bites aren't as aggressive as back at home. Like, they would bite me once and it would be like a really harsh sting. But the itch was not there. The itch came much later. But even then, it was a bit more tolerable. I think when it comes to mosquito bites, the worse diet you have, the worse the mosquito bite itches, if that makes any sense. Because when I got back, the pain returned. The itch returned a lot. Hello, Bunny. Pleasure to make your acquaintance. Just subscribed. Thanks for subscribing, Skylar Kudo. Thank you. This is just a chat with me, and people are already subscribing and joining in. Not even drawing anything. It's actually pretty pleasant. Uh, where was I? Oh, right. Yeah, mosquito bites. We also had a window installation in the whole house, all the windows. Yeah. Risk of Rain 2 music, which I've been playing since you asked, but you haven't been back since. Thank you for having me, even though I'm autistic and don't deserve it. I think being autistic is irrelevant. Because I'm pretty sure I'm a bit autistic too, but I don't know. I'm not diagnosed, so I'm just making assumptions upon myself, but there's nothing wrong with being autistic, whether it's real or not. Dying in schoolwork? Oh, okay. Yeah, it is like the first... No, sorry, it's the second week of school, isn't it? Second week of school for a lot of you. Which means I think certain things will slow down for me because I have to get back to work as well. Well, in my own sense, I also have to catch up with my own class because I am very far behind with that. Back to school for everybody. Please forgive my negativity. I can't help it. All my life I've felt less than human. Due to your autism. I think that that's just the stigma of how people treat you. Like, and also having a negative sense of self. You have to, like, bring out the positive of yourself. You have to think about what you like about yourself first and highlight those the most. That way they eventually will outshine your negativity. That's how I felt about myself for a bit. Like, for a while, I just didn't like myself at all. This was about, I would say 5 years. 5 years ago, yes. 5 years ago, I just felt really self-conscious about myself, where I couldn't just be happy with... I always felt inadequate. I always felt like I wasn't enough, just doing enough. So, to turn that around, I started working hard on myself. Changing my lifestyle, changing my diet, changing my work ethic, and it helped me gain a spotlight on myself. Well, not in the YouTube sense, but in a personal sense. That's what helped me get out of my negative funk. And, there are still times where I still feel like I'm not enough, but it's not as harsh as it was before. Whenever I do feel that way, I just either do something that's productive or just do something that distracts me a bit. Take care, Alanov, since you have to go. Don't forget to bunk Mr. Bro. Yeah, I'll give some bunks out to him. You're also the opposite side of the world, so it's nighttime for me and need to sleep now. But you won't? Well, I don't plan on staying online that long because this is just a catch-up stream. I'm not drawing today, obviously, so I'm not going to be staying on until noon local time. This is just a means of me catching up. I wish I had a chance to relax while I was away, but it's not that kind of trip. So it was definitely not a vacation. I would call it a non-cation, non-vacation, because of all the physical work I had to do. Not that it was like bad, like I don't mind physical work. It's just I really don't like getting bitten by mosquitoes, and the rotten food in the fridge thing was enough to like set me back. You know, wasn't that like, I'm not gonna say it's traumatizing, but it was horrendous. The smell was like awful. But besides that, everything is done and dusted. I don't have to think about the negativity anymore. Like I said, tough times don't last. The bad things will soon pass as well. And when you have that mentality, everything looks brighter on the other end. That being said, I don't really have anything prepared for today. That's why I'm just talking. I think I will have something prepared for tomorrow. Let's see, I do have things that I want to take care of today. Mostly because I haven't been able to do it since I've been away. last week. I got back home on Friday, but I was so wiped that I just took the weekend to recover. What else is there? Sarah, you would like to know something. If you mess up something and regret what you did, what do you do? If I messed up on something and regret it, what do I do? Well, I would have to take a moment to think if the regret aspect of that is warranted. Like, is this as bad as I think it is? Is the error as terrible as I think it is? Because more often than not, we are our worst critic. We are our worst enemy. So we treat ourselves worse than other people would treat us most of the time. So if I mess up something, let's say I'm gonna like start small here. Let's say I was drawing at on paper and I messed up something, and I realized I'm like really far in and I messed up. I'm like, oh, at that moment I would regret all the time I spent. But then I have to take a moment and be like, okay, so this is where I screwed up. I'm just gonna trash this and start again. So if you assess the situation in a logical sense, the regret does not have time to set in. That emotion does not have time to set in. Just think about it in a logical sense. You recognize you made a mistake. You know what you did. And you should take a moment and just calm yourself down. And it'll be alright. Regret is dependent on how much you effed up. I mean, that's true, but sometimes we do exaggerate how bad it is, even though it's not that bad. Like, I've seen people use words in the super hyperbolic sense that it almost trivializes the meaning of the word. Like the overuse of the word trauma or a crisis or stuff like that. Like, you never experience trauma if you keep using that word to explain something that's not that traumatic. You know what I mean? And that's what kind of annoys me. Like, words do have impact, and if you do stuff like that, you essentially like trivialize your situation, trivialize the word. Also, you make it so that people don't take you seriously. Because let's face it, you're not taking yourself seriously when you say those type of things, right? Like, come on now. This is why I'm often very careful of what I say. Like, I want to use simple terms because it's really not much of a big deal. Whenever I make a mistake, I always just like, oh, I made a mistake, dang. Oh well, start again. Or I get more annoyed than regretful that I messed up, because there was a point where I would be regretful and even remorseful about how much I messed up, because that's how badly I treated myself. If you would to think of it this way, depression is rage turned inward. So the more you get angry at yourself, the more depressed you become. So to just avoid that altogether, because I am easily susceptible to depression, I just shrug it off as no big deal. No big deal. It's not a big deal. You can clean it up. You can start over. You can try again. Essentially, that's what it is. Refuse humanity, return to monk. It's not that simple. But yeah, just don't treat it as much of a big deal as possible, because oftentimes it isn't. Like, just today, I was making tea, and as I was tossing out the tea bag, I spilled some tea. The worst part about that was that, like, I possibly may have burned myself, but it's not a big deal. So should you let it happen because of your decision and try to accept it? Yeah, like, here's the thing. Human beings are not perfect creatures. We are imperfect, as it says. So accept that you make mistakes, and accept that, hey, maybe the mistakes aren't as big as you think. Unless you know, like, let's say you've offended someone, or you've hurt someone's feelings, then yeah, that mistake is a bit grander than what you would do to yourself. Oftentimes when you hurt someone else's feelings, you have to take time to reflect and address what you did to them, and figure out a way to apologize properly and sincerely, and to work towards never doing that ever again. You thought depression is a defense mechanism that works when there's unknown problems in life? I don't know. I think when I suffered from depression, it was just a lot of self-loathing. It was not a unknown problem, not facing unknown problems to me specifically, because it was just me basically being my own punching bag, which wasn't healthy for me, and it wasn't healthy for my relationships, because I wanted to be an indoor kid when you think about it, because I was just so angry at myself that I didn't want to face other people. We are made perfectly imperfect. Yes, that's exactly it. So what I'm saying is that you have to have a sense of maturity to face your mistakes, a sense of logical sense, critical thinking, all that stuff. You have to be more mindful of how you address your mistakes, and to think, is this worth being regretful over? And oftentimes, no. Sometimes, yes. Very seldomly, yes. That being said, don't sweat the small stuff. It's a nice idiom I like to go by. Don't sweat the small stuff. It's often not worth it. Because you only have enough emotional energy in the day, and if you're spending it within the hour, you're going to be emotionally drained for the rest of the day. And that's a problem that people, I guess, like you, Dharma, like, tend to dwell on things too much, and that's what happens when people get wrapped up into that one aspect of their day. They forget about the other stuff that happens in their day. Be aware where you are bad at and focus on what you're good at. Yes, exactly. But also, not just focus on what you're good at. Go back and focus on what you've done wrong and improve upon that. So be aware of what you're bad at, focus on what you're good at, improve at what you are bad at. You can't simply, like, run away from everything. You can't just sit there and mope about it. It's not healthy for you, emotionally and mentally. It's right here. Sorry, I'm messing with my teacup. So yeah, granted, like, you don't want to do that too much, because to a sense that creates our compartmentalization, by which I mean you essentially put things in boxes in such a way that you grow detached from things, which is something that I'm often worried about. I'm worried about being so detached from things I don't have a feeling about it. What are we talking? We're talking about, like, recognizing how we mess up and how feelings of regret surrounding it. That's what the topic is. To be honest, I want to laugh at myself because I can't even do something right. I mean, if that's a good coping mechanism, that does help. People do often have nervous laughter when they mess up, or something can go spectacularly wrong that you just can't help but laugh, because if you don't laugh, you end up crying. Yeah, that's right. You just need to experience more stuff. Like, I think a problem with a lot of, like, young people is that they are stuck in their egg mode. And what I mean is that they don't quite open up and experience the world around them, because they're stuck in this sheltered little bubble that they created. They don't really go out and interact with other people. They don't have self-reflection sometimes, and they're just, like, in this mire of, like, where am I going? But, like, you haven't really experienced anything. That's why you feel that way. This is why having a sense of self, sense of independence, and the capacity to be alone are very important for an individual. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, sometimes it's good to conform to certain things, but don't forget your individuality. And when did this become a TED Talk? I guess it is a chat with me, isn't it? My week wasn't all that important, to be honest. It was just plane ride there, clean up house, clean up fridge, window installation, security installation, yard work, plane ride back home. Basically, that's the summarization of my week. The craziest mindset you're trying to train right now is to think of how you will fail instead of thinking of how to win. How would you do that? I can't even cry anymore. My tears are just going up. It so hurts. Ooh, I know that feeling very deeply. Sometimes I can't cry. I mean, like, I still get emotional to a point where I will cry, but I just have to stop myself sometimes. I know I'm being hyper emotional. The crazy mindset, like, thinking of how you'll fail instead of thinking of how you would win. I don't understand that. I mean, to a degree, training yourself to think of how you failed, that's essentially telling yourself, here's all the risk I'm taking before success will hit you, which is often a thing when it comes to anything. You have to have a risk assessment before you can actually have success. And what that means is that you will have to think about how you fail, but the more you think about it, the more you can avoid those pitfalls. And the more you can avoid those pitfalls, the greater your outcome of success. You know, for a long time I wanted to start streaming, but I just didn't know how to go about it. And I just said, whatever, forget about it. And I took the plunge and I just did it. And now, fast forward today, I have 74 subscribers. Never would have thought I'd grow this fast. And yet, here I am. Here I am talking to you folks. Here I am drawing and the like. And I'm actually comfortable talking, which is something I can't really say in my real life. Like, talking to strangers is still a struggle for me in real life, but I want to get comfortable doing that because I need to be social. Being social is a very living being thing. Like, it's not just a human aspect, it's just the aspect of being an animal. Dogs need to be social, birds need to be social, cats need to be social. We can't be a solo creature at all. As much as we want to be, as much as we want to be that, you know, rough and tumble guy who can, like, handle anything all by himself. He doesn't need no help. That's not how it is. We can't all be... Well, actually, I was about to say, we can't all be Guts from Berserk, but even Guts from Berserk is terrible at what he does. When you actually look at his life in perspective, like, he doesn't do anything right. He takes unnecessary damage. He takes unnecessary trauma. He's often crying. And that's the burden of doing things all by yourself. You are just a broken person. And Guts from Berserk is a perfect example of that. He's just taking too much that he can bear, and he's creating this legend of himself where he can do everything, but he can't. It's just not possible. Yeah. Ooh. I'm just getting pretty philosophical, aren't I? I wonder if my tea's cold enough to make me drink it. Small tea break. It's Earl Grey tea if you're curious. I think I'm thinking about what Green O'Reilly said. thinking about all the things how you fail, it's gonna happen. Sometimes you need to fail. I'm just gonna say that right now. Sometimes you need to fail in order to learn. Because people want to win so often that they realize that they don't learn anything. Being alone seems kind of cool, like Isaac Clarke. I don't know if that guy's cool enough. I don't think that... Yeah, Isaac Clarke does not like being alone. He'd rather just not. He just has to deal with being alone. He's not alone on his own choice. He has to deal with it. It sucks. But yeah. Sometimes people are just placed in a position where they are alone and they have to deal with that. They would rather not be alone. Oh. Today is celebrating s'mores. Weird. Yeah. Most people don't want to be alone. Let's be real. As much as people say it, that's them lying to themselves. People often do lie to themselves about what their intent are, what their principles are. Because if they say it out loud, it's essentially like making it true. It's that spiritual aspect of like putting it out into the ether. If I put it out into the ether, surely it's the truth, right? Like, probably not. Sometimes not. Being alone, yeah, I like being alone, but it's scary when you don't have someone to share with. Yeah, exactly. Like, there are times where I fantasize about being truly alone, and when I do, I become, like, actually terrified, because it means I have no one to talk to. That's, like, imagine a scenario in which you can freeze time and throughout the entire world, and you had no one to talk to because you're frozen in time. So you can do literally anything, but you can't talk to anybody. I think that would drive people insane. To a point where you want to undo what you did. Whenever bad stuff happens to me, I think about Job from Had It Worse in the Bible. Yes, whenever bad things happen to you, remember, there's that one guy who got swallowed by a whale. Oh, that guy, like, endured a trial and a half. It wasn't just that he got swallowed by a whale. I believe, he was the one where his, wife got turned into a pillar of salt. Is that the same guy I'm thinking about? I believe so. It has been a while since I read the Bible, but I think the story of Job was the one I kind of reread the most because of just how harsh it was. But that was years ago. I think he was the one who had his wife turned into salt. I believe his crops also died, and his was it his sheep? I believe he was a rancher. I believe his sheep also passed away. Yeah, at least you're not Job, basically. That guy had a really, really, really bad year. He lost everything and even God questioned him. Yeah, exactly. Even God questioned him, how can you endure this? And I think Job said that it was, I think Job believed he knew he was being tested, and that's why he didn't question God, because he knew this was a trial from God, and he was like, you know, also, that's another thing. Job's situation from the Bible is a perfect example of this too shall pass. Like, the whale thing, the wife thing, the crops, the ranch, all that eventually ended. Yeah, he endured a hardship, like one unknown to other people, but it ended eventually. And I believe he was he eventually rewarded? I believe so. think God like finally smiled upon him. I'm like, okay, I get it now. But like, it's often not that bad when you think about it. Like, human beings will endure so much before they're actually broken, but this too will excuse me. Dharma says, sorry Sarah, you want to stay a bit longer, but you must do something, so I'm glad you returned the right time for me. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me, Dharma. Remember, this too shall pass. All tough times don't last forever, just so you know. Unga bunga. People do often fantasize about simpler times, but like, do you have a simpler time? Have you known a simpler time? The only simpler time I can recall is my childhood. But that was the time where I had, like, I believe the least amount of freedom. It's like the coin, the other side of the coin, right? When you're a kid, you have plenty of time, plenty of freedom in some regard, but you don't have much independence because you're a kid. But when you're an adult, you have more independence, but you have a lot less time. Also, you have more responsibilities. That's always true. Thanks, I got. That means a lot for you. Aw. I appreciate that you were able to stay here and listen. Remember, Dharma, it's not as bad as you think it is. Just take a moment to actually think about it. Is it as bad as you think? And then, once you put it into that perspective, it's fine. Until then, take care and stay safe, okay? Excuse me. I wonder what I want to do tomorrow. Tomorrow I do want to draw something, but I don't know what. Hey, Mr. Bro! I should probably ban you. I'm just joking. Mr. Bro. I took a peek at our Discord and see that you were bullying someone, a certain someone, while I was away. I have to take a look at what you've been doing a bit later after the stream. The simple time that you remember where you're in a like countryside with your grandpa sitting outside the house with a field in front and a cool breeze while eating canned tuna. Wow. That sounds fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like a person who's ever been to a countryside and experienced that. I have been to rural sections of different parts of this own country and other countries, but never actually sat down and actually enjoyed the moment like that. Do you mind if I send a professional proposal in the future? Oh, I don't mind at all. I'm hoping that I can run into Ziyang, because they asked me for a commission and I need them to run it. I need to run it by them again and see if it's up to their part. I remember finishing a commission before I went on my trip, but I still need my client to look at it. So, yeah. That's the thing. I like to get things done in a promptly manner. That's a word. Promptly? Probably. Yeah, that is a word. So that it's not a big of a deal when I have to come back to it. I do remember finishing that commission. I just need to talk to them again, see how they like it, and yeah, get paid, send it out. By the way, if you're enjoying the stream, don't forget to give it a like. Also, if you're around after the stream, you can give me a comment, maybe a recommendation for me to do for my next stream, or maybe you can like recommend an anime or a book I should like look into, because I haven't read in a while besides Dungeon Meshi. That's the one comic I've been reading lately, because I really want to finish the series. And I mean, the manga's finished. It's been finished for a while. I just want to finish it. I think I have about 30 more chapters to go. And where I am now is like really good because it's more backstory stuff, which is something I've been curious about for a while, especially for Senshi. Senshi and Shochuk's backstory are interesting, but Senshi was the best one so far. I'm not spoiling anything about Senshi, I'm just saying it's the best backstory so far in the series. I think that's all the catch-upping I've done so far. Yeah. Oh, I should say that I won't be here on, I believe, Wednesday? Yes, Wednesday I'll be out again. And then I think I'll be back Thursday and Friday. But Thursday seems a bit dubious. I don't know if something will happen on Thursday. Don't know at all. Oh, sorry. You could make a Patreon that can commission personalized artwork from you. Huh. The thing is, you don't get a dime though. The thing is, a while ago I did make a Patreon page, but the thing is, I put stuff on there that I felt wasn't very good, so I closed it. I might reopen it in the future, but I don't know. I don't know when. So about that Patreon thing, it's in the works. It's just collecting dust again. Also, I have been thinking about like stuff that I actually do want to sell. Not just digital art. I want to sell physical items. Like I want to sell, stickers, and maybe like traditional work if like it's something you guys are interested in. I wouldn't mind doing that, but I have to think about shipping costs. Probably when you're popular in the future. I mean, yeah, when I get more of when I get more traction, that's something I do want to do. But like, if you're interested, I wouldn't mind making stickers. I'd have to make some designs for that. Maybe I can sell it. Oh, I should make a website specifically for those stickers, so that you don't have to go through a middleman. Like, I don't like the whole middleman aspect of Patreon and Gumroad because they take a cut. If I had my own website, I can just get paid directly. Is what I'm trying to say. Make a bunk sticker. Maybe I will. And the bunk would be not a hammer. It'd be my stylus. A giant stylus would be the bunk. Also, eventually in the future, when I'm able to unlock memberships on YouTube, I want to make emotes for that. Also want to set up a tier system for memberships eventually. We don't like sharing. And what else is there? The tier system would essentially be like general support and critiquing your own work, and the last one would be lessons. I want to put lessons as the highest tier, the more expensive tier, because when you're teaching someone, it's kind of hard to keep up with. Because it has to be a one-on-one thing, otherwise you are gonna like get lost in the sauce. Also, I kind of often wonder if I'm even a good teacher. I have to explain my things to myself in the simplest terms. That way I can learn it better and thus faster. But I kind of wonder if that works on other people in the sense that I don't undermine their own intelligence. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to undermine a person's intelligence, but sometimes explaining things in the most simplest terms actually does help. It's the r slash explain to me like I'm 5 subreddit. If you explain something as if you're a child to yourself, you start to understand how it is. Also, creating a set of simple questions that a child would ask helps you learn what you're doing. I believe there's a term for that, but I don't remember what it was. Who was it that said it? I believe it was Mark Burnett. He did a video about that on the terminology of it. Sorry, Mark Brunette. Let's see. This video was very old, but I do remember watching it. I think I can recognize it by the thumbnail. Wait, hold on. Being a teacher is by being able to master a technique. You can't teach everyone. However, if you want to teach everyone, you can only teach them the basics. Yeah, exactly. I think that's exactly how these art instructors on YouTube do it. They explain things on a basic level because that's how you teach everyone. What is it? Did you change the thumbnail? Probably. Art school. It's kind of like a tech tree with limited skill points. Ooh, that's very true. Oh man, it's it's because you can't be good at everything. You can only be good at some things. And teaching is one of those difficult things to do because you have to have patience. You have to recognize your students' struggles and their setbacks. You have to focus on their weaknesses so that they can focus on their weakness and build upon that. You essentially have to like explain how to correct their work and like don't explain in such a way that you like harsh their buzz. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to excuse me, you don't want to like discourage anybody essentially through your harshness. I know that there is that other aspect of teaching, like in what's that movie called? Whiplash, where you're like where the instructor is so harsh that you want to like shut the instructor up and say and show them how good you are. But that often fails because people nowadays will get discouraged from that. Absolutely. Like, no problem. Like the wise man once said, there's an AI for that. Thing is, like, you can't take AI everywhere as much as people want to. At least not yet. I would rather have the ability to do anything and take that everywhere than like to be dependent on a machine that I have to like worry about all the time. What was that? Assuming is the worst thing to do is when it comes to teaching, yeah. I don't want to make any assumptions. I believe there was an idiom for that, like don't make assumptions because you end up making an ass out of yourself. Like forgive the crass language, but that's how it goes. Like, that's how it can happen. Like, making assumptions can look foolish if you're wrong, and oftentimes people do get it wrong. Excuse me. AI consumes so much electricity and generators for it to heat up so much. Yeah, exactly. That too. Like, often, like, I think it's just a waste of time, honestly. I would rather know how to do something with my own two hands than rely on a machine to do it, because this is a thing, right? Like, I have a perfect example of what happened to me in real life as to why I cannot rely on machines. So, my boyfriend created a digital cookbook for me, so I can collect recipes and put them into that one space, right? However, it's tied to his server, and his server tends to go down sometimes. But so when that happens, I can't access that cookbook site. But I do have a physical cookbook in my kitchen that I created myself. And that's the most reliable thing I have. Like, granted, yeah, it's a physical object. It can wear over time. The book binding can wear out. I can make a mistake when I write down stuff in it. But that's fine. It's always available to me. It's not reliable on energy. It's not reliable on electricity. I can open it at any time. I can read it. I can find stuff really easily in my own handmade cookbook. Rather than relying so heavily on the digital one, which can be unavailable to me at any time. Plus, I have to use my PC, which is far away from my kitchen, and the only way I can like solve that problem is use my tablet, and sometimes my tablet's not charged up. I feel like having this heavy reliance on digital aspects of our life is it's going to be a detriment in the long run. You need physical things like an actual physical book, a dot journal if you can find one. Like, these things have been helpful for me in my progress, you know? And that's why that's why digital art is more undervalued than traditional art. Because traditional, it's one of a kind, it's a skill you can do anywhere. And with digital, like, anybody can steal that right from under you and, like, just make it their own. Or just throw it into an AI machine. Which is something I don't want to think about. Bro's boyfriend got cooked. But yeah, it's true. Like, imagine that I want to make something, but I can't because the power went out or the server went down. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? Hello, Black Tourist. Welcome to the stream. Also, hello, Bucky. Can you do both independent and can use machines? Yes, I can do both. But sometimes I can't do both because there's more work getting the digital aspect to work rather than the physical aspect to work. Plus, I know where my cookbook is every time. Sometimes I misplace my tablet. You know what I mean? But I think that's a me problem mostly. me misplacing my stuff. But knowing where everything is also a good step. Also, just writing stuff down physically is good for your memory. It's just a good idea just to write down stuff. It's very good for your memory. How's it going? This is just a chat with me. We're just catching up on the stream. Essentially just talking about how I was away, talking about feelings, about negativity, regrets, mistakes, stuff like that. And now we're up to AI. Got the oldest rule in the book to always have a physical backup. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You always gotta have like a physical backup. Ugh. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked. Whew. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean for you to like just stare blankly at my gorgeous avatar, but I was just thinking about how a means of explaining things to yourself simply, because we were talking about how to teach someone else, but to teach someone else you have to first teach yourself. That's the way of learning in the most effective way possible. I do remember there was a term for it, but because it was coined by a guy back in the past, but I don't know the guy's name, so How are you going to address the advancement problem, Sarah? For example, AI can do better sometimes on image generation. I don't care. It doesn't matter if it's better. Humans like human-made things. Even before AI was invented, like, people had a problem with machine-made things because they thought it was inferior. Think about that. They thought the thing made by the machine was inferior to the thing made by human hands. So it doesn't matter. This is just a new spin on an old argument. You know what I mean? It's not just a ethical thing, it's just more of a human aspect. Like, AI is like devoid of humanity, because it is. It's just stealing from other people to create something new. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I feel something about that. You're in need of an artist to act as a teacher that isn't opposed to insane ideas. Oh man. I mean, with insanity does come the birth of something new and interesting. AI just has a weird feeling, to be honest. It's trying to be human and it's obvious. Yeah. It's uncanny, that's what it is. It hits the uncanny valley in terms of quote-unquote skill, because it's just taking someone else's 10,000 hours. No, not just someone else's. It's several people's 10,000 hours and putting that into a blender and then spitting out the result. And I know people are gonna sit there and be, oh, well, artists do that too. They take other art styles from other artists and they do the same thing. But yeah, but that takes time to do. It takes hours to do. People have to plot themselves down and figure out how to do that. They actually have to engage their brain synapses. They have to engage. They have to engage in the neuroplasticity of their mind to understand how the artist that they're quote unquote copying figured out how to solve the problem. And that's how you teach people things. Someone has to know a thing in order for you to learn from them. Like, yeah, that's how you teach someone art. Like, someone learns how to do art, then you learn from them. Either they're a good teacher or they're not. More often than times they're not, because they don't know how to explain what their methods are to you, which is why I think certain artists cannot be teachers. It's like the AI has maxed out on basic skills, but not the specialized skills. Yeah, exactly. Like, I've seen AI made certain images that just don't make any sense in terms of lighting, effects. Sometimes the proportions are off. I know those things will improve over time, but still, people will not care for it. Let's be real. They don't like those things. Sorry, not sorry, but humans like human things. That will always be a thing. Though anything made by human hands will always be more valued, and AI will always be undervalued. The more it's used, the more it's because it's basically just a factory. Essentially, that's what I'm getting at. AI is a factory. And the people who made those models not only steal from other artists, they're also stealing from themselves. So, I don't know. No honor among thieves, I suppose. Eh. I need to take another drink of my tea. Excuse me. Not honorable and have no sense of pride. Yeah, exactly. I understand that there are people who really, really, really like the AI thing. I get it. But what you like most about it is that it's a shortcut. That's what you like most about it. There's nothing wrong with taking shortcuts. I've seen AI-assisted art. But that's the difference. It's AI-assisted art. The artist still knew what they were doing. They just need a template that they can draw over. Yeah, essentially. Like, sometimes they do that. I've seen artists like draw over a 3D model, and it's fine because it's still the end result looks amazing. I think I have an example of that somewhere. Maybe I do. I believe I showed this before as well. Maybe I can show it again. Hold on. Let's start out. So, here we have Passenger from Arknights. As you can see, it looks pretty detailed, doesn't it? So, if you were to, I don't know, let's say, zoom in. To an untrained eye, this looks gorgeously drawn, right? But I can already tell this hand as just a 3D model. It's a 3D model hand. Same with this one. 3D model hand. Feet are completely hand-drawn. And of course the aspects of the gears are 3D assets as well. But this is not to say that the artist is not skilled, it's just they use these tools to expedite the image. Like, there's gonna be like only a handful of people who's gonna zoom in this much and be like, oh hey look, they traced over that, But no, I'm just making a point. This is how you use your tools. And AI art could also be a tool, but it's not a very good tool at the moment. It needs to be a better tool, is what I mean. Humans also like stories behind things. Yes! Yes, exactly. Humans like stories behind things because when you plunge this much time into something, there's a story behind it. If you just tell a machine to, like, create a pretty green-haired girl, what's the story behind it? Oh, I just want a pretty green-haired girl. Like, okay. Fine, I guess. This is a problem with AI development and ethical standpoint. The acceptance or refusal of AI can create a segregated society and possibly dominate the other party. I don't know. I don't know about that just yet. AI should stay like a machine because it always tries to predict things, but humans in life are always unpredictable. Because AI applying. Read if you want. If you say what an AI should not really enforce. Can you really enforce those rules? You can't enforce those rules. It's idealistic to enforce those rules, but you cannot do that. I think US law are trying to enforce some rules, but that's going to be a lot of red tape at the moment. Excuse me. But yeah, like, how you use your tools is going to be like imperative how you've done your work. This looks like it took many hours, despite the fact there's 3D assets here and here. But this had to be sculpted in. This also had to be sculpted in. The artist had to sculpt this in. This is just... These are not always preset. You gotta, like, actually sit down and, like, make these. That. It's a 3D model, but they had a... She? Skate? I believe Skate is female. She had to, like, sit down and make this work. Yeah. I bet, like, the reason why the hands are 3D is because you probably ran out of time. Because when you make a commission like this, you have a deadline. You gotta meet it. So, like, oh crap, I ran out of time. I might as well just, like, slap this here, draw his hands, shade it properly so it makes sense with the orb that's, of orb electricity here, and let's just bang it out there. I'm fine with this level of shortcuts, because that makes sense. Especially when you're pressed for time. But just, like, throwing a bunch of words into a machine, that's not a shortcut. Just wanted, like, really pretty factory-made bread. I know that's a rather dismissive way of saying that, but it is what it is. It's the only way I can describe it. Maybe the skin is like that as well. There's also, yeah, the window is the aspects. This doesn't, surprisingly. Parts of the book cover are 3D aspects. And this had to be done ASAP because this is a live 2D image. I know it's not activated right now, but this was supposed to be a live 2D skin. Why it was so expensive when I bought it. Thanks. But yeah, that's what I mean. I have identified our, Sarah, and probably Green fundamental disagreement. I value optimization, making work easier, while you guys value hard work. Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's kind of like a thing that's kind of going out of style as technology progresses. People seem to just not value hard work anymore, to the point where laziness is an accepted thing, and I don't want that to be an accepted thing. Like, people shouldn't be lazy, because when you do less, you have more regrets. You have more remorse about yourself, because now you look back at your life and you think, oh man, what have I done with it? What have I done with my short time on this planet? And it's like, right, basically nothing, because you shortcutted every aspect of your life thanks to technology. And that's how people had this sense of unfulfillment. That's why hard work is important, because it fills your soul with what it needs. Hard work is a sense of food for your soul. Respect with the disagreement and your value. Yeah, I respect the fact that, like, with AI art, you want it to be more optimized, but... And to a degree, I kind of want that too, but it needs to make sense in the terms of, like, not stepping on other people's toes. Like, you shouldn't have to steal from other people to make your point, you know? In fact, my first impressions of AI art was like, oh, it's pretty neat, it's pretty cool. But then the uncanny stuff started to seep in, and I was just put off by it. I understand that the paid models have gotten greater. They've gotten better at it, but still, though, I just rather not. I just rather not partake. No, it's been about, like, what time is it actually? Yeah, it's been about an hour and 12 minutes. I kind of want to end my stream soon. Like I said, I wanted to keep it a bit short, but I kind of went over the time I wanted to go. Which is fine, the discussion we had was pretty good. See, it just depends on who will use it. Others will turn lazy and others will go beyond. It's basically just a superpower that we don't know yet how to use yet. True. Yeah. And also, if you were in the know a while back, AI artists steal from each other, which is hilarious because, hey, if it starts with thievery, it continues with thievery and it ends with thievery to a degree. So that's why I don't like AI art. It creates this awful behavior in people where they think they can just do anything and take anything. That's why I believe we must understand its limitations and what limits it must have. Yes, it needs more limits. Especially in the ethical sense, people have this sense of, excuse me, have this sense of like, oh, I can just take whatever and throw it into the machine and now it's mine. That's not how that works. That's not how it should work. At all. It's, AI, quote-unquote AI artists are stealing from each other. That's both ironic and hilarious. I believe other artists were actually laughing at that because, yeah, what did you expect? That was definitely gonna happen. That was just definitely gonna happen. That's a surprise to no one. You know, like. Anyway, I think I've talked long enough. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the discussion, guys. That was just actually pretty good. Like, you actually got me going for a bit. Even though this was just a chat with me, it was pretty cool. I like to do this. I would like to do this a bit more often, if you don't mind. Like, I got quite an amount of views from this, even though I was just talking. Close this up. There we go. If you know, I'm Beggar. He has a recent video that looks like our arguments here. Ah, okay. I also got a chance to take a peek at, this was a while ago, unfortunately. I don't recall when. Excuse me. It was Shadiversity, another man, who were being moderated in debate against two professional artists. And the AI side was like kind of losing because there was just too many valid points on the professional artist end. It was kind of painful to watch because I was actually curious as to what the AI artists had to say about using those tools, but it seemed like they had nothing to say. So that debate was a bit disappointing. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I'll want to watch it again because it was kind of cringe. See, I do have my biases, but I want to keep an open mind. So to see the side that I'm not in favor of fail so miserably is actually kind of sad. Talks about God and his good animations. Okay, I'll look them up after the stream. As of now, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Mostly listening because that's what you're doing anyway. I will catch you back tomorrow. I will definitely have something to draw tomorrow. I still want to do more head studies though, because I still think that's my weakest aspect. Hey, right back to weaknesses, right? So until then, stay safe and take care. I will catch you guys tomorrow, same time as today, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.